Hey guys, welcome to my full review of the Moto G. I want to start by saying Motorola has probably got one of the best smartphones for the price and the bang for buck on the market with the Moto G. There is some setbacks or some things that you'll have to give up in order to use the Moto G, but I think you should be able to give those things up and enjoy the freedom of Android with just those few setbacks, and I'll tell you what those are in just a moment. Here's the box from the Moto G. There's not much to it. The only thing in there is the USB cable and some paperwork, and that's it. And it comes in a very small box. The box is like the size of the device, as you can see. They're very small. They really cut corners to get the price way down. The fact that it doesn't have a charging brick in there and only a USB, that's not a deal breaker, and it shouldn't be a deal breaker for you. So let's talk about the device itself. This device has a 4.5-inch display. It ships with 4.3, but you can upgrade to 4.4. After having my device for a couple of days, I actually got the notification. Check out the video on the update if you haven't done so. But I'm on 4.4 right now, 4.4.2 to be exact. It has a Snapdragon Qualcomm 400 processor, 1.2 gigahertz quad-core to be exact. It's clocked at 1.2, and it is a quad-core, but it's a Snapdragon 400, and it delivers in a lot of areas. You can get an 8 gig version, which this is what I have, the 8 gig version, or you can get a 16 gig version for $20 more. This starts at $179 for the 8 gig and $199 for the 16 gig. So if you're a cloud person, which I am, you can also enjoy 50 free gigs of Google Drive for 2 years. The device measures in at about 11.6 millimeters, but it tapers off to 6 millimeters on the edges here. You can see it's kind of got a curve, and weighs 143 grams. Not very heavy at all, not too thick either. It's basically Moto X with a little bit more thickness to it. Again, it has a 4.5-inch display, but the PPI is 329 pixels per inch. And it's a 720 display, which is great. It's 1280 by 720. Has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and a microphone up top, microphone on the bottom, and a USB charging port and sync cable on the bottom, or a spot there for the sync cable. On this side, you've got the power button and volume rocker. On the back, you've got a 5 megapixel camera with LED flash. It's got like this matte finish on it, but you can actually buy different color shells that go on the back of here. But I opted to just go ahead and get a completely matte case with grip on it for mine. Now, the battery inside of here is 2070 milliamps, and here's where the processor and the phone they really start to come together. The battery life on here, I was able to successfully get 2 days out of this, and I'm a very heavy user. So people that are not heavy users can easily get 5 days. There are reports of some users getting 5 days. I won't try to get 5 days. I'm just going to keep using it as I need to. It does have an LED flash, as stated before. It has burst, auto HDR, which is a really nice feature, panorama, tap to focus. The front camera is actually a 1.3 megapixel camera. And the highest resolution you can get off of this phone is 720 HD, which, you know, that's on both. That's the rear and the front camera. They both record in 720p. And that's, you know, again, that's one of the setbacks for having a phone with a $179 price tag. Now, here's where some people would consider something, another area of the phone a setback, is the bands on here for the networks. So they do have a global version, and this is the US version. Now, the US version, it has all the bands for T-Mobile, AT&T. This will pretty much work on any carrier, and you can have 3G. It does have the 1700 band. There were some questions in another video whether it had the 1700 band, and it does. It does have the 1700 band for T-Mobile, so you will get 3G, and the speeds are really nice. It's very decent, and you can stream videos in high quality. You can use it, even though it's 3G only, you'll still be able to use it for surfing. I never lose service on this device at all. Now, here's another plus to this device. It has Gorilla Glass 3, and I think, according to Gorilla Glass 3, that's a huge plus. There's a lot of phones that don't have Corning Gorilla Glass on their devices, and you know, that's for a $179 device. They must be getting a really great deal on here. I didn't mention the RAM, but it does have 1 gig of RAM. So device performance. performance on the device has proven to be very good. It's a fast, fluid device. I am running the Nexus launcher on here, and I'll put a link so you can get the Nexus launcher on your device. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take it back to the norm just for this video, and this is how easy you can switch between the two. It lets you do it like that. So this is what it actually looks like. You have the 5 pages on here, and this is where it'll come. There's a background you can set on here. Let's go to wallpapers, and we'll set the default, which was this one, and this is the way it comes in the box to you. So the device itself, very fluid, super fast. The quad core is clocked at 1.2, and it's a Snapdragon 400 processor, but it is blazing fast. No crashes, no hiccups, no nothing with this device. It just really works. So web browsing on this device, you get Google Chrome browser. There's no other browsers installed on here. You can install your own if you want to, but let me go ahead and take you into my browser here. Let me step off for just a second just to make sure it's clear of any information from anyone else. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do some web surfing, and I am on 3G here, so you can see that it has great signal. And we'll just go ahead and go to some websites here so you can see how it loads the pages, and you know what your surfing will be like. Now your internet speeds and your transfers of data will be different than mine because you probably live in a different state or a different country or whatever. So for this to be a 3G device, look at the rendering of the pages. I mean, it's still loading, but it's still going very fluid. That is a huge plus. Now let me take you to a page where I know is a full website. Let me see here. First, let me go back and see how this is looking on camera here, whether you can see the... Okay, let me lower the brightness for you guys real quick here, because I want you to be able to see the pages here. So I'm going to crank it all the way down and go back in the web page here. I want it to come across really clear for you. Alright, so let me go to a page I know is a full web page only. They don't have a mobile website, and that will be Phone Arena. And you can see how it loads up Phone Arena. So you can see the rendering of the pages is nice and fluid. It's a little slow on that. It's still loading. It's working harder to load this full web page, but in the same token though, you can still see it's still loading. You can see in the bar there, and it's still actually processing the data for the web page. Huge plus for Moto G users. The web browser is Chrome, and that's your default browser. You can put other ones on there, but I prefer just use what comes with it for certain things. But web browsing on the device is super clean. So how about the camera? The camera, now I'm running 4.2, so the camera, I don't know if it's going to take better pictures than yours if you're on 4.3, but the camera, you just touch, it'll focus. Doesn't have the fastest shutter, but it does have a nice shutter, so you can see how the pictures render. So it's a really nice camera on the device, and it'll work for what you want it to work for. There's not much to the interface. Let me go back in there for you. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to click out. So as far as your camera settings, you go from the left swipe and you get your settings here. You can go here for your auto flash, your auto HDR, which I think is great. And something that's failed to mention in this video is this camera has slow motion. And I haven't seen too many people mention that, but the camera, even in 4.3, it has slow motion. So you have panorama mode on. You can do your location. You can change it to a 4:3 ratio by turning off the widescreen. I just leave it on widescreen though. And you can turn your shutter sound on and off. Very minimalistic settings here. You press there for video, and you press here to flip it around to the front camera. So the camera, to me, is doing its job. It's not a bad camera, because I paid $179 for this. So, you know, I get an Adreno 305 graphics processor. I won't go into gaming, but gaming is pretty nice on here. You'd enjoy it. What else can I tell you about the device? Overall, the processing power of the device is just fantastic. I think the only things that I could complain about for the device is it does have tethering. Let me go back to my Nexus 5 launcher. It does have tethering, but since you're on a 3G, now this is something that this is one of the drawbacks to having this device. If you really want the device, you might want to have a plan. I do have an LTE iPad Air, but when I'm at home, I don't use the data. I just turn on Wi-Fi, or I'll tether sometimes because I have 2.5 gigs of tethering free on my phone. But this device cannot handle the tethering because of the 3G connection. I've hooked it up to through the Bluetooth and the hotspot, and it just will not allow me to use my iPad or any tablet for that matter when I hook it for the tethering. So that's a huge drawback for me because I tether a lot, so I'm forced to use another device to tether if I want to. But other than that's a major drawback for me. That's one of the things about being on 3G. You kind of lose out on a few things. The speeds are good enough for this device, but not good enough to have the device set to at those speeds. It's just it's just a drawback. That's how it goes. You gotta take some things, the good and the bad, and that just happens to be one of the bad. I'm sorry here, I had to step off for a second to change this. We'll set my wallpaper back. But folks, I gotta tell you that if you're thinking about getting the Moto G, you won't be disappointed. I mean, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, hands down. Let me try to get some more light in here, just a little bit, not too much. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So I would say for those people that are using, like I have a Galaxy Note, well, I have lots of phones, but using this one is really easy because it only has a 4.5-inch display. It's actually really nice to have in the pocket. If I drop this and it scratches, or I won't be so pissed off because I didn't pay $750 for it. But I still got protection on here, still got a case for it, just to help save my money. But if something were to happen to this, I wouldn't be so pissed off like I would when I broke one of my Galaxy Notes, or I lost one of my Galaxy Notes, or it got stolen or something, so I had to get another one. Well, I'm into that device for $900 now, so I'm gonna make sure I hold on to that device and be more careful with it. But if you're looking for a budget device, I was going to put this one up against the Nokia Lumia, but the Nokia Lumia wins in a lot of areas, but this device I think is a better performer than the Lumia. Hardware wise, the Lumia has an SD card and a removable battery, but that's part where it stops. The camera on the Lumia is not better than this one. The processing, the fluidness of the device on the Lumia is better, but you can get a Lumia right now directly through T-Mobile for $48. I mean, you can't beat that. And they also have the Lumia for $69 on Microsoft's website directly. So, but it depends on what you want, Android or Windows. And obviously Android is winning the race, and it's almost no competition. But as you know, I'm a big supporter of Windows Phone because I enjoy Windows Phone. But when it comes to Android devices, would I get this device over a Nexus or the Moto X? I sure would, because this device already has 4.4.2, and it just came out, and it has basically caught up to the Nexus 5 already. You just can't beat that. I'm on KitKat already on a $179 device, and hey, the Nexus is almost twice as much as this, and in some cases the 16 gig is twice as much. So you kind of got to weigh out what your budget says and what you're looking for. If you want a 5-inch display, there's plenty of devices out there, but at full cost, probably the Nexus is going to be your best buy for a 5-inch display on an Android device. It depends on what your budget is. But I would definitely recommend this device over several devices out there, just based on the price point and such a great package that Motorola put together. You can buy different shells and accessories for it. You can do a lot with this device, And one thing that, you know, people might not want to give up their LTE or their 4G, but I would say you really need to think about it, because if you're in an area, it has every band. It does have the 1700 band, so you're gonna get 3G, but you get HSPA plus, so that can get you up to about 21 megabytes, or, you know, as close as it can handle to 21 megabytes, depending on where you are, how close you are to a tower. I get great results on here. I've gotten no more than 10, I believe, or 9 or something like that, but that's fast for what you're using it for if you're streaming. So the Moto G, in my book, with it having, you know, just the downsides are it's only 3G, no LTE, no removable battery, no SD card slot, but the upside of that is everything else. Everything else. Do I recommend this device? I sure do. What's my rating on this device? I give it a solid 9.7. Easy. And the only reason I take off points is because of the non-removable battery, which really doesn't matter with this device, because you know, it has great battery life. Power users can get 2 days out of this, and I'm definitely a power user. But it has no SD card slot, and you know, the memory is limited to 8 or 16, and you know, it has no LTE. So those are my 3 things that I would take off for. But other than that, this is a very solid performer, and I give it a 9.7. On a great day, or on a bad day, I give it a 9.7. That's the Moto G, guys. If you haven't gotten one, $179, $199 for the 16 gig, get one. If you're looking for a device, grab up the Moto G. You will not be disappointed. I'll see you in the next video. Check out the links in the description if I put some in there, if I remember. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.